I'm about to give you a masterclass on why indirect funnels are the logical choice in 2025. So let's jump right in. But first, I want to look at how marketing's changed and how things are evolving, right? So we think ancient times, advertising, industrial revolution brought the printing press, kind of some of these innovations, the golden age of buying advertisement when you bought TV and radio, this, that, and the other. And then ultimately now, the golden age of digital ads, right? But the old way marketing used to work was you start with running ads, you drive it to a page that has a sales pitch on the landing page, and then ultimately you get X amount of conversions, right? Now, what's changed over time, because if you look at it, like marketing's changed, right? So it's time to adapt your strategy. And if you look at it before, organic reach, you could grow fast without spending money, and now it's more of a pay-to-play. Platform saturation, there were fewer creators, which meant less competition. Now everyone's posting, so it's harder to stand out. Content expectations, before it was more simple content. Now it's like people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and putting time and energy into content, so it's just more competitive. Algorithm complexity, feeds were chronological, they were based on who you followed. Now it's algorithms are changing, it's constantly super unpredictable, and ultimately everything is a for you, so any sort of moat doesn't really matter. Ad costs, obviously before they were cheap, now they're way more expensive. Influencers were more authentic, now it's like fake followers, fake this, fake that. Data and privacy, tracking was easy and accurate, now it's, I mean, obviously with iOS updates, this, that, and the other, it's like good luck trying to figure out the tracking and attribution. Brand loyalty, before they were a lot more like brand loyalty, before people were a lot more loyal to brands, now it's kind of cost efficiency. So ultimately, a lot of things have changed if we want to put it on the grand scheme, right? So if we take a deeper look in terms of what's really happening, is marketing used to be a lot simpler. You could post something decent, spend a little money on ads, and still get in front of people. People paid more attention, simply, right? Now they've. So let's take a deeper look at what's really happening. Marketing used to be simpler, right? You could post some decent content, spend a little money on ads, and still get in front of people. People paid more attention, followed brands they liked, and didn't need much convincing. Now, everyone's posting all the time. Ads cost way more, and people scroll past everything unless it's either super polished or instantly captures their attention. So it takes way more effort, money, and touch points just to get someone to care, even if it's just a matter of for a few seconds. Now, we know people are more hesitant now than ever before as far as it comes to spending and taking buying decisions. But if we look at it in terms of research, before B2B, people would need 7 to 13 touch points. Now it's 266 plus. So almost a 2,000% increase in a matter of 10, 15 years. B2C, 6 to 8 touch points in the 2010s, now 200 to 500. So like that's up by almost 16,000% increase in the changes. And if we look at B2B or prices in marketing, right, and how they've changed over time. In B2B, Google ads cost per click into the 2010s, $1.25, now $3.33 on average. Facebook cost per clicks, 50 cents, $2.50. That's a 5x increase in just a matter of years. And it's a double and a half in Google ads, right? What about prices for B2C marketing? Google ads cost per click, 88 cents to $1.16. Facebook ads cost per clicks, 25 cents to 70 cents. Ad conversion rates, higher before, anywhere from 4 to 6%. Now, on average, 1.5 to 2.5%. Huge difference in terms of the deliverability and the function and just the profitability of it, right? So how does this stack up to email marketing, right? With time, that obviously should have become more expensive as well. Well, if we look at the metrics, email ROI in the 2010s, $38 per dollar spent. 2025, $42 per dollar spent. So that's gone up. If we look at email conversion rates, before it was 2.9% in the 2010s, now it's 2.5 to 5%. So the last couple of years, this has, in terms of efficiency, has just gone up in both ROI and conversion rates. Something's up there. So let's recap. Paid ads are getting more expensive. Conversion rates are lower. Targeting is worse in terms of privacy and then also control of like who you target versus letting the AI target. And we need more touch points per conversion. So let's look at the new way of marketing in terms of what I have in mind with more indirect approach. The new way of marketing is leveraging paid media, driving them into an interactive quiz or some sort of resource, which further helps both in nurturing and education. On the back end of that, you build and segment your list, provide personalized offers, and ultimately customize your value delivery so you're selling people at the right time. And here's the bigger part that even nobody's talking about. You see, there was a study done by Neil Patel, who's a famous marketer, and their agency essentially asked, okay, a whole bunch of marketers, would you prefer 1,000 followers or 1,000 email subscribers? And most people said email subscribers or followers, social media followers. But when they looked at the revenue of how much is 1,000 social media followers versus 1,000 email subscribers worth on a monthly basis, social media followers were worth $79 for 1,000 followers on average across industries in a month. So like 79 in January, 79 in February, 79 in March, so on and so forth. Versus email subscribers were worth $582 per month per 1,000 subscribers. Now, why is this huge disparity, right? Well, because email is personal, it's direct, and it converts. Simple as that. So let's look at like how valuable email is as far as like different industries, right? Because, it doesn't work for my industry. Okay, cool. Let's take a look. If you're in lead gen, B2B, consulting, SaaS agencies, revenue per customer or per lead can be anywhere from 50 to 500. Estimated value per subscriber per month, $2 to $20, right? E-commerce, $30 to $200 per month as far as the value, and their estimated return is anywhere from 50 cents to $5 per month. And this obviously assumes that you're using your email marketing efficiently to drive the revenue it can. SaaS and software, anywhere from $20 to $200 a month plus monthly reoccurring, right? If they subscribe to the SaaS. So that could be worth on a monthly basis anywhere from $1 to $10. Content creators, $1 to $50 per month. And as far as the monthly kind of revenue is worth, anywhere from 10 cents to $2. Local services, they are worth anywhere from 50 to 500 per month, depending on what your service is. And your estimated value per subscriber per month is anywhere from 50 cents to $5. Now, what does kind of an indirect quiz structure look like, right? So let me tell you about that. So this is an example of you guessed it, indirect funnel. You have a landing page that you drive people to, whether organically or paid. You push them through a quiz, which is asking them a bunch of different questions as far as their personality, their archetypes, their mistakes, their scores. And what you do on the back end is you now drive them to separate outcome pages as far as what are these different outcome pages, depending on how they've answered the result. So now they're getting personalized offers, personalized recommendations, and lastly, personalized customer journeys, meaning they get different emails depending on how they've answered the quiz. So it's indirect. It drives them to a quiz, which is free to engage with. Then it sells them later once you've got enough buy-in and nurturing to where you can now sell them in a much more specific way. So you're targeting indirectly, and then you're selling them on the back end. Now, how did this quiz funnel do, right? This specific quiz right here. This one drove over 238,000 email subscribers, generated over $328,000, and 200 of that was in profit because we spent $130,000 on ads for this. So per dollar we put in, we got almost $3 back. And we built a huge email list, which you can continue to sell to, which is essentially an asset in your business. So if you look at normal funnels versus indirect funnels, they have 100 visitors. You send them to your page. You try to have them buy. 3 people end up buying, and you lose the 97 people that didn't buy, right? Now, an indirect funnel, you have 100 people. You capture less initially because now there's only 40 people that join your newsletter, complete the quiz, or get through it. So you've lost some people. But the idea there is more of those convert on the back end because the customized journey, the customized offer, the segmentation, and the ability to re-email them the same offer until they buy or start selling them other offers within your ecosystem, to where now between upsells, referrals, repeat sales, you now have 12 compared to the initial 3 in a more direct funnel. If we look at kind of how normal funnels or sales funnels work versus quiz funnels or indirect funnels, how it starts, obviously a typical funnel is going to have like a VSL copy. With a quiz funnel, it's going to be some sort of interactive quiz or free case study or free lead magnet. The engagement is that either they just read the landing page, click the video, watch the video, passive kind of content consumption, versus with a quiz funnel, it's a lot more interactive, it's engaging, and it's unique, right? Personalization, generic for sales pages, customized and specific for the leads, depending on how they've answered it. If you look at lead sorting and qualifications, it's hard to sell because you don't really know in a normal funnel what leads, how they're ranked, what's better, what's worse. Versus with a quiz funnel or an interactive lead magnet where you have the survey, you're now getting a lot more information and people can pre-qualify themselves. Data collection, obviously in a normal sales funnel, you're collecting basic information. In a quiz funnel, you're collecting rich psychographic, demographic, preference data, qualifications, price points, timelines, specifications, you name it, you can collect it in a very engaging way. So the benefit of this is we all talk about how we're in the age of information and AI and like data is the new oil. Well, what are you doing to collect data? How are you collecting data? And how are you marketing based off of this data when using a normal direct sales funnel? User experience, obviously passive, same for everyone. It's one size fits all. Versus a quiz, it feels consultative, fun, and interactive and engaging. Trust building, you have just the same testimonials and reviews in the sales funnel versus with the quiz funnel. You can position different testimonials for different people depending on how they answer it, and you're positioning yourself with authority in terms of you're teaching them something and you're consultative in the way you're selling. Follow-up automation. Follow-up and automation, obviously, it's the same for everyone on a sales funnel versus it's custom based on results and outcomes in a quiz funnel. Sales funnels are limited to like one product, warmer audiences versus quiz funnels. It could do multiple products and multiple audience types. Lead nurturing process, cold leads may not feel connected right way. But with a quiz funnel, you have quiz results, personalized automations, and they build trust faster, which means you nurture them faster and ultimately they convert faster. And with the normal sales funnel approach, it's a lot more pushy, transactional, versus with a quiz funnel or indirect funnel, it's positioned a lot more to be educational, value-driven, and indirect, right? So if we look at the fundamentals, again, of a quiz funnel, the idea is you have your social media traffic, whether paid or organic, you push them into your ecosystem to learn more about the prospect, in which you can learn about their pain points, their archetypes, their qualifications, and their price points, to now be able to guide them in different directions depending on how they answer the quiz and what they're trying to get solved. I.e., you can say, hey, John, based on your pain points, archetypes, qualifications, and price points, I recommend offer 1 because you have less of a budget. Versus Jake has a higher budget, different pain points, archetypes, and qualifications. He should have offer 3 because he can afford that, and that's what's going to be the most helpful to him. So having a quiz built in your business is essentially like having a salesperson who works around the clock at scale for free, directing people in the right direction to the product or solution you provide that can give them the most service. Now, let's look at the fundamentals of a quiz funnel from a high-level standpoint, right? You have your online traffic, you push them into your quiz. Their thought process is, why would I click on this ad? Why would I click off of wherever I'm at? Well, because I'm going to take the quiz. I'm going to engage with it, right? I will learn something. And in that process, once they complete the quiz, you capture their email, you put it into your CRM, but you're also gathering data. And this data, going back to the value of data and how data is the new oil, allows you to guide them in the right direction, right? Whether it's free content, paid trainings, live events, masterminds, qualifications, whatever it is, you name it, you can redirect them to different offers on the back end of your indirect funnel. But what I want to talk about is the secret to supercharging your marketing, right? This is probably the biggest strategy you can do as far as marketing goes. There's one tactic, and this tactic is the highest ranked tactic, and it's something that people never do. And that is segmentation, right? Segmentation is based off of segmenting your audience into smaller groups where you could be more specific in your targeting, in your language, in your conversion metrics, and messaging ultimately to convert more of them, right? So here's an example. In this category on this side, you just have a group of people. Say they're customers, right? And these are customers and they bought because they liked orange. Or these customers bought because they liked blue, and these customers bought because they like green. Super advanced, I know, but hang with me. So what happens here is that now you could, instead of saying to these people, hey, buy more because you bought previously, you can now say, hey, buy more because our products come in, you guessed it, orange. Or to these people, hey, buy this new phone or buy this new service because it comes with green. So you're segmenting the people that have done certain actions into the groups of people who have done those certain actions, and you're delivering specific messaging to trigger more of those people to do the next desired step in your process. And to define segmentation like black on white in specific terms, it's the process of dividing a broader customer market into smaller, distinct groups of people who share similar characteristics, needs, or behaviors. And remember when we got their pain points, archetypes, qualifications, and price points in the quiz? Well, essentially, segmentation is the tactic you can use to take advantage of the data you've collected in the sales process of which you are now trying to sell more people on your product or service, right? And if we look just super high level benefits of segmentation as far as it comes to email marketing specifically, 60% increase in open rates, 116% average increase in click-through rates, increasing revenue per recipient by 216% on average, and decreasing the unsubscribe rates by 50%, which ultimately for email marketing is your churn, right? In terms of how many people on your list are still going to be there next month, right? But segmentation goes way beyond just email, right? If we look at some of the biggest brands who are using segmentation today, take Amazon, for instance, right? It has different recommendations based on my browsing history, my purchase history, anything I've done on Amazon, any ad I've clicked, any email I've clicked, it's giving me different recommendations for my Amazon page compared to yours, compared to John's, compared to Mary's, right? Completely different experience. So what I see and what I experience on Amazon's website, completely different from what you experience. If we look at Spotify, right? The For You songs on my feed, completely different from what you have because you're different. You like different music, you follow different music, you have downloaded different music, you're a totally different person. If you were to hear my music with my horrible taste, you would never use Spotify again, right? Which is why they do not do that. So instead, they spend billions of dollars into allowing segmentation, putting it in place so that you will consume more time on their platform. You'll listen to more music. You'll buy more stuff on Amazon. Netflix, same thing. The For You page, completely different from me, for you, because why? I like different movies from what you like, and that way we are now different, and their goal is to keep you more on their platform, to consume more, to spend more, whatever their metric is. Segmentation helps them achieve that, right? So in short, segmentation is the most powerful strategy you have for making marketing more efficient, period. End of story. So let me show you exactly what it's like to build your first quiz funnel. We'll do it here live together. And the components of a quiz funnel consists of a couple of different things, right? First, you need to isolate what are your customers' pain points or concerns, because you want to join the conversation they're having in their head. And the way to do this is to see where they're at and kind of get an understanding of what are people wondering about? What are they trying to figure out, right? What are the things that are going on in their mind, and how can you be a part of that in your positioning of a quiz, right? Because keep in mind, this is an indirect approach. So it's not saying, hey, you're ready to buy. It's more, do you know what mistake you're making in correlation with this? Or do you know what type of this you are, right? So there's three ways of creating an indirect approach for a quiz. You could do a mistake-centered quiz, a type-centered quiz, or a score quiz, which basically means one is what's your mistake in insert niche or question you have for your audience. The second one is what type of are you, right? What type of personality are you? What type of builder are you? What type of coach are you? Whatever it is. Or the third one, which is score, which is like, what's your score in relation to insert product or service, right? What's your score as a coach? What's your coaching score, right? How proficient of a builder are you? Take this assessment to find out. So basically, you have number 3 to create a hook for the quiz, right? So in this case, let's use an example. We're going to do what drives you to success, right? So that's the hook of what drives you to success. And we have 3 to 4 outcomes, which is usually what I recommend. In this example, I have 3, right? One of them is lifestyle, meaning I'm willing to work my ass off, but I want to enjoy the labors of my work and my lifestyle. So I want to live well. I want to be able to go to the most expensive restaurants. I want to be able to fly business. That's important to me, right? In this use case. Second one could be competition, meaning, okay, I want to compete. I want to crush my enemy. I want to be number one. Like, I want to be the GOAT. I'm a Michael Jordan. I'm a Kobe Bryant. Like, I'm crazy and I just like to crush my enemies. Number 3 could be purpose, right? In terms of, my lifestyle isn't so important. Winning isn't so important, but having a big impact is important, right? I want to support my community. I want to be able to help others. So if you think of this, these are 3 completely different ways of engaging and interacting and looking at the world and in speaking to these people, right? So step number 4 is basically you build a quiz outcome with each questions where one answer correlates to each of the outcomes, right? So if the question is question number 1 and answer A then leads to outcome 1, answer B leads to outcome 2, answer C leads to outcome 3, right? So you're essentially just mapping out the outcomes as far as it goes. And next step is you want to add demographical questions. So if you're selling a product or service on the back end here, you want to be able to position it and learn about your customer, right? You want to qualify your customer to really know if these people are going to be a good fit and who you should prioritize the most, because we're collecting data. We're understanding our customers. And in this case, it could be, what are your goals? Well, how old are you? How urgent is it to hit your goals? Like different timelines, right? So what drives you to success? It's good to know if they're young or if they're old. What are their goals in terms of like how big are they, right? Because the bigger the goal, the more help they need. And how urgently is it to hit this goal? It's like timeline, right? Pressure points. So you're learning about your prospects and you're getting a better understanding. Because if I know somebody's driven by lifestyle, and I know that they're 50 years old and they're trying to hit this goal before they retire, I can use that in my messaging. It could be like, yo, John, I know you're 50s. You only have 10 more years left of your career. And if you want to have the lifestyle of be able to fly business, go on vacation, enjoy it, send your kids to college, this, that, and the other, we got to get going, buddy. Like, we're falling behind. So the idea here is you take the quiz questions, you take the demographical questions, you now have a really good understanding of how to position it. And from there, you personalize and segment the marketing. What does that mean? You have segmented outcome pages depending on what outcomes they get. You have segmented paths, right? Outcomes and qualifications. It could be that they get the same outcome, but one is qualified, one's non-qualified. Segmented VSLs, segmented email flows, segmented nurture sequences. We are taking where they're at and we're helping them go to the next step depending on what nurturing they need. So what does this look like from a structure standpoint, right? So you have your quiz angles, you have your 3 to 4 outcomes. Quiz questions go first, then you have open-ended questions or qualification questions where the whole outcome is that you learn about the prospect as you go through it. Then, depending on how they answered the quiz, they're going to get 1, 2, 3 of the outcome pages, or if you have 4 outcome pages, you have different outcome pages. And with each of these, you have an email sequence, which you then try to keep pushing them to the next step of whatever it is that is desired that you want them to take. You have a couple emails there that are pushing them back to tell them, here's your result, here's the next step, here's why you should take this, here's other people who are in a similar position as you who took the step, here's the result they got. You're really just pushing them and providing value while trying to help get them to the next step of the process. And then finally, what I always add is a welcome sequence at the end, where now you're trying to take it less away from the product or the funnel that you have and more into the process of you, what they can expect, how you help people, how they could do things in the future, and just moving them along the process, because not everyone's ready to buy right off the bat, which is totally fine. We saw many people need way more touch points, but the good thing is once they're in your email list, now you can keep emailing them without it costing anything, without having to waste money on ads, because these people are in your ecosystem. They will continue to get value from you, and ultimately they will buy when they're ready or when you have a different product that's more suits their needs. So if we look at tips and tricks, which is the last thing I want to leave you off with here, which are very important, right? As far as the CRO for the quiz funnel, when you're building out a quiz funnel for your business. First thing, put the quiz questions first, right? Then add the opt-in at the end, which is the indirect approach. You got to keep in mind, you're telling people in the ads or where the traffic's coming from, hey, take this quiz or get this free resource. If you ask for an email and contact information right off of the bat, they're going to be like, oh, screw you. You're just trying to sell me. Like, it's a bait and switch. So in the beginning, you put the questions, you let them go through the funnel. The other thing is sunk cost fallacy. Once they've answered the questions, at that point, they're going to be thinking, okay, I'm already committed to this and I've been consistent in the action of getting this. I might as well just drop my contact information so that I can see the result, right? Number two, first question has one goal and one goal only. It should be super simple to answer. It should be super straightforward. And the whole goal is to get them moving in the right direction so you can reward them for taking the steps that you want through the quiz to ultimately convert into your list and then buy on the back end. And when running paid ads, always drive straight to the first question. Don't send them to your landing page where they then have to click another button to get to the second page where the questions start. Drive them to the questions, because they've been scrolling on their phone mindlessly. And then what do they see? They see your ad. Your ad says, hey, this indirect quiz funnel, you're going to learn about your whatever personality or whatever way they can help. They're going to think, awesome, I want to learn that. They click the ad. At that point, they have now exited social media platform, whether they're watching organically or they're coming through paid ads. And then they've clicked and said, yes, I want to take the quiz. So if you then send them on the landing page where you try to put a video in front of them and then they click, yes, I want to watch the video, and yes, go to the next page, it's a waste of time. Send them to the first question, because that way they've already shown that they have the exit intent, and now it's just a matter of converting them. That's all it comes down to. They clicked off the ad, get them in the quiz, get them answering questions, get them through the process. Next, the money is in the follow-up, right? Your email list is with automations. You can enable it, you can set it up, you can forget it. You're building a system here. It's not just the landing page with the funnel, it's a system. And the money is in the follow-up, right? Just because they didn't buy right away doesn't mean they're never going to buy. It's just a matter of continuously being top of mind, so that when they're ready to buy, they will buy from you because you're the logical choice. So always follow up, stay in touch, and stay in front of them. And this goes into the last point, which is don't sleep on the compounding asset you're creating, right? Your list. We already went over how valuable 1,000 email subscribers are on a monthly basis, but guess what? If you don't email them, they're not going to buy, they're not going to be valuable, and that's just the way it is. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you email them, you want to grow your list, and ultimately drive a tremendous amount of revenue and sales. Now, the benefit of using an indirect funnel like this versus just paid media, straight to sales page, and then that's it, is when you shut off your ads or you stop posting content, you're not as consistent. Now, everything dries up. Versus if you have your email list and you keep sending email lists or you keep putting people into the automations, it's going to keep selling. Like, for a long time, because people are still in the system, they're going through the flows, they're getting updated, they're getting the emails, they're getting the automations, and it's going to keep rolling. So do not sleep on the compounding asset you're creating, because that is the life insurance policy of your business. And especially if you're in an online business, it's one of the most valuable things you can collect and build over time. So send more emails, send more segmented emails, make more money, because that's what I want for you. Now, to finish off, I have a special bonus. If you're interested in adding a quiz to your business, but you're not you're still not 100% sure how to do so, I'll come build out these 3 quiz angles and the monetization strategy of how this works for your business specifically in less than 48 hours for free. Go to quizfunnel.co or just click the first link in description, fill out the form. I'll start building, no strings attached. I'd love to see what a quiz looks like for you in your business. And if you want to learn more about what this indirect funnel looks like in the real world, click this video right here that showcases how Alex Hormozi is using an indirect funnel right now.